Thoughtseizes and Lotus Cobras, and maybe this is just a black-green rock kind of deck. I mean, they're playing Garenbrig, so they gotta be playing... It could be some black-green Reclaimer deck. Like, it looks like some sort of Titan Brew of some sort. Unfortunately, because of the Pithing Needle, that means that we can't actually kill our opponent with the Breach combo thing, because that relies on Sunhome giving the double strike. Maybe we can kill our opponent with Valakut triggers instead. I don't know. We probably have lethal even without Sunhome, thanks to Through the Breach. I mean, I'm definitely doing it. Hello and welcome, guys. We are here for match 5 with the list that you see on screen. We are currently 2-2, so we're fighting for the 3-2 potentially to get our league value back and a little bit more, or a 2-3 and get half a league value back and some knowledge and some entertainment. Either way, I'm happy with the result, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed this league so far. And I also should say, stick around till the very end, because I definitely have ideas on how to improve this list, and I'll talk more about that at the end, but not here, not now. We are jumping straight into this match. Alrighty, let's hop in here. Be on the play one more time, just for good luck's sake. Dang it. Never. I mean, I can't complain. We are on the play like 3 of the 4 matches we've played so far, I'm pretty sure. And this hand is lacking only a bounce land, pretty much, and we get 2 draws for it. If we draw a 3rd land, we can just slam Dryad. I mean, keeping this hand is an absolute risk over drawing a bounce land, and the next 2 draws were probably only like 30-40% to draw the bounce land. I've done the calculation in the past, I just don't feel like doing it right now. I'm going to keep it. I feel like risking it today. Could be wrong. I mean, we have multiple threats. We have a Through the Breach, so we only need to hit 5 mana. Our opponent leads on Castle Garenbrig. Is this going to be a mirror, so to speak? And I'm going to lead on the Sunhome here. I don't really see a reason. I guess the one reason why it would have been better to lead on Stomping Ground is if we find exactly Boros Garrison. So, I don't know. Maybe shocking the Stomping Ground would have been way better. If we hit exactly Boros Garrison as our bounce land, then we'll be really sad. That's just me playing a tiny bit loose. It's probably not gonna... Well, never mind. Our opponent fixed the problem for us. They have Yavimaya. Okay, well, clearly it was the right play from the whole start here. Also, I really respect our opponent for playing Yavimaya. I like Yavimaya and Amulet in general. It's just there's not enough room to squeeze it in. Pithing Needle naming? Probably Slayer Stronghold. Or they just named Sunhome. Okay. And we found a bounce land, which is very lucky of us, I will say. And we're going to slam Dryad and play a land, and then next turn hope to just Titan them, I guess. See what our opponent can muster this upcoming turn. If they have bounce land, Azusa, and Titan, they can Titan us. They probably didn't want to name Slayer Stronghold if they do have Titan next turn, because they're playing on attacking. And unfortunately, because of the Pithing Needle, that means that we can't actually kill our opponent with the Breach combo thing, because that relies on Sunhome giving the double strike. Maybe we can kill our opponent with Valakut triggers instead. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. Especially considering we can go up to 6 mana, leave a red floating, and breach out a Titan and search for Slayer's Stronghold and a Valakut, and immediately have one in play. Then we can attack and get Fetch Land and Vesuva copy Valakut. We probably have lethal even without Sunhome, thanks to Through the Breach. I mean, I'm definitely doing it. Opponents on the slow plan, we're about to show them what we're for. They didn't play a 3-drop either, which is pretty strange to me. Breach giving us the 1 extra mana to kill our opponent with Valakuts here is quite nice. We gotta make sure we leave that red floating, though, when we cast this Breach. I'm gonna actually float a red with the Stomping Ground, and we'll just leave mana in play. I don't really see a reason to do anything different, so we'll pick up the Sunhome, cast a Breach. Again, leaving that red floating, very important. Here's a Titan. And our opponent scoops it up. They see the writing on the wall. Boom! Through the Breach takes another victim. Love it. Alright, against Amulet, we want Forces for their Sagas and Amulets, and possibly Dryads. We want Ghost Quarter for their bounce lands. Ooh la la. And that's probably about it. We can trim on a Grazer, maybe even 2, just because Grazer speeding us up is not as important as having a turn 1 Amulet. Through the Breach actually seems kind of alright here. I don't know how to feel about it. I feel like cheating on mana to get Titan into play could be relevant, especially since we're not playing Garenbrig, so... And in this type of matchup, I am usually a fan of trimming one Saga to play around hate, but to be honest, our opponent's going to have 2 to 3 Force of Vigors and 1 Foundation Breaker that they would have to have in their opening hand to punish us for Saga on 1, so I'm not really a big fan of trimming Saga after having played the matchup some. Let me know your personal opinions on that. And then one more card. It could just be a Through the Breach, but I don't know, I'm not really feeling it. Maybe breaching out a Titan is not the best way to win, since it would probably lead us to relying on our Dryad staying in play to kill our opponent, and then playing into Forces or Dismembers or something along those lines. But maybe trimming 1 Breach is alright. Let's see, what else? I don't see any of our lands being particularly trimmable. I think it is just a Breach. Call me crazy. I want to play the card, but 3 versus 4. I mean, we don't want to draw redundant copies of Through the Breach either, so there's that. Well, I mean, this is a turn 2 explore. Let's see, we go turn 1 Grazer, turn 2 explore land, turn 3 we'd have Titan if we drew... No, we don't have Forest. I was going to say we'd have Titan if we drew Garenbrig. 2, 3, 4, 5 mana on turn 3. This is close-ish. I don't think it's close enough, though. I'm going to mulligan. Boom! This is why we mulligan, people! This is why we mulligan. Alright, we're absolutely keeping this. And we could throw back a redundant bounce land, which I don't hate, but the extra bounce land actually helps us play against our opponent's potential Ghost Quarters, so I'm not into that, really. I think we just ship the Forest and shock Stomping Ground. This will give us our red for Through the Breach if we need to do that. Like, we could go Stomping Ground, Amulet, turn 2 play second Amulet, play Growth Chamber, Transmute Tolari West, and then turn 3, if we draw Through the Breach, we could pack for Titan, play Gruul Turf, and use the 4 plus the Stomping Ground to breach out a Titan, which is definitely a line. So I think it's fine to pitch the Forest here. I guess what's the one downside of that? To play a land on turn 2, we'll have to play the Tolari West. Playing the Forest on turn 2 won't let us transmute on turn 3 anyways, though, so... We could even just play Growth Chamber on turn 2, after playing the Amulet, transmute the Tolari West, and then pick up the Stomping Ground, and then turn 3 just have Gruul Turf. Yeah, I think this is fine. Yeah, so we can go turn 1 Stomping Ground, Shock, Amulet, turn 2 Amulet, Growth Chamber, pick up the Stomping Ground, transmute Tolari West, turn 3 land Titan. So this is a Titan kill on turn 3. Our opponent's playing Overgrown too. Are they playing the version of Amulet that plays Persist? Or is our opponent playing a combo Amulet Shell too? Hey, we drew the Through the Breach. Which is not quite as exciting now that we only have 1 Amulet, but it could still be useful. We'll see. Amulet go. Now we probably do have to play out Tolari West and then plan to pick it up on turn 3 with Growth Chamber to transmute. Lotus Cobra. What is going on? I thought for sure our opponent was just on a Titan Mirror here. Alright, well, we're playing Tolari West. And I think Grazer lets us transmute this turn. We play Grazer, put in Growth Chamber, float 3, pick up the T-West, transmute. The next turn we have Gruul Turf Through the Breach. Okay. I don't know that it kills our opponent. I think it probably does. Oh wait, we need the Growth Chamber here. I almost clicked Gruul Turf. That would have been a disaster. We'll float with these, pick up the TUS and transmute it, and the next turn we have Breach Titan, and we'll see if that kills our opponent. This is why I wanted to keep in some of the breaches, though, is because this type of line is what it enables, and sort of combo-y or fast mirrors here. Our opponent plays Yavimaya. Thought Seizes and Lotus Cobras, and maybe this is just a black-green rock kind of deck? I mean, they're playing Garenbrig, so they gotta be playing... It could be some black-green Reclaimer deck. Like, it looks like some sort of Titan brew of some sort. Quirion Ranger. Return a force you control to its owner's hand, untap target creature, activate only once per turn. I have no clue what's going on. Of course, they're doing this to produce an extra 2 mana this turn. Probably a Reclaimer deck of some sort. I have to assume that the Quirion Ranger is to untap Reclaimer. It's probably some sort of Reclaimer Titan deck. Interesting to see it in the black-green colors. Our opponent concedes. I mean... okay. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and assume that was a Golgari Reclaimer deck. Super cool from our opponent. I wish we could have seen more of it, and I wish they would have let us play it out there and do the Through the Breach kill. But, yeah, I don't really have much else to say. for the gameplay aspect of this league, 3 and 2 is very good in my opinion, and especially for a deck that we're playing just for fun and kind of to meme, I'm super, super stoked with that result. And one thing I'm not stoked with, however, is the deck list. So the first thing I want to mention is, I think that if you want to play a fun through the breach combo shell, it's totally fine. Obviously, you're able to still get your 3 and 2s and get your value back. It's a nice, fun thing to play at FNM if you are not really trying necessarily to gun for the win. You just want to play something for fun. However, I do not think the sideboard lightning bolts are worth it. We played some matches where the lightning bolts were very good, but in all honesty, if it's just to kill turn 1 Ragavans at all costs, just play Dismembers. Just cut these things and make your mana base better. I'll make some changes to the mana base in 1 second and show how I would change the mana base. But let's go ahead and add some... I put an S on the end of this. Let's go ahead and add some Dismembers in here. There we go. Yeah, just play Dismember. It's not worth splashing another color to try to deal with Ragavan. Even if we're already splashing red, I think it's fine to just play Dismembers instead. If you have another tech answer to a turn 1 Ragavan that I haven't seen yet, then please share it with me. And this also gives us extra room to add one more thing in the sideboard, so for now I'm going to let that go. Maybe you can make comments or suggestions below. I'll probably add one more card just as we're making changes here, and I will see you guys in just 1 second. Alright guys, so I've made some quick changes real quick just to the deck list, mainly in the mana base, as if we're not splashing a 1 mana red card that we need to cast on turn 1, we can be a little more liberal with our choices in mana. In particular, we're playing a 4th Forest in order to have more game against those Blood Moon decks. We're playing 1 Breeding Pool to help us facilitate Tolaria West, and the other slots are occupied by these 3 Castle Garenbrigs that I sorely missed. I actually think that cutting on Castle Garenbrig is one of the biggest mistakes you can make an Amulet. I even would potentially prefer to have a 4th, but I decided the 2nd Valakut is probably more important to me. It makes our Dryad backup plan a little bit better. And then in the sideboard, I did add 1 15th card just off of a Snap Judgment. It was a single copy of Foundation Breaker, as just having this to pact for against specific, niche cards or strategies or just even situations. Having 1 Foundation Breaker can be quite nice, especially against things like Eldrazi Tron. So sometimes you feel the lack of Foundation Breaker, sometimes you don't. It's just an easy one to throw in there as the 15th card. If you have other suggestions, let me know. And that brings me to, I guess, the last thing I really want to say about this deck list, which is, I do think that if you're going to the trouble of casting through the breach and trying to have a good time, it's pretty minimalistic to make room for 1 copy of Emrakul and 1 copy of Fierce Empath, and I'll pull those up and talk more about that in 1 second. Alright guys, so I have added the cards we were talking about. The first one is, of course, Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn. The 15 mana, 15/15, can't be countered, take an extra turn after you cast it. Flying, protection from spells that are 1 or more colors. Annihilator 6. When it is put into a graveyard from anywhere, shuffle your graveyard back into your library. And of course, the point of this is you can breach out a Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, hit them for 15, which might be enough to kill them already, especially against a deck like Burn, for example, that's trying to fetch shock. But it also has the Annihilator 6 clause, making them sacrifice 6 permanents when it attacks. So, tons of value. Through the Breach plus Emrakul is definitely enough to win the game by itself sometimes. However, we're not playing more than 1 Emrakul in this particular list, not only because we would have to make a room for it, cutting things like the mainboard relic or map or lands or whatever, and instead we're playing a backdoor route to find Emrakul, which is Fierce Empath, the 3 mana 1/1 that when it enters the battlefield, search your library for a creature with a value of 6 or greater, put it into your hand, and then shuffle. So, not only can this grab your Emrakul so that you can Breach plus Empath all in the same turn for 8 mana and just Emrakul annihilate your opponent, but also, Fierce Empath is able to search for Primeval Titan, so it's sort of like a 3rd copy of Tolaria West in that sense, except it can't get your bullets like Engineered Explosives or, Pacts to find Dryads or whatever. But, against your opponent's Chalice on 1, or Chalice on 0, you play a Fierce Empath and find a Titan, and you never have to go through Summoner's Pact in the first place, and you feel like a genius. So, in some ways, it's kind of like that. And I think that it adds to the deck's game plan and allowing you to do the fun, crazy thing of breaching out an Emrakul. To be honest, if you're going through the hoops to play through the breach in your Titan deck, you might as well go all in and play some number of Emrakuls. In fact, I've seen lists that just play 4 Emrakuls, 4 breaches, and just say, I don't care if I draw dead cards. I'm just going to try to breach out an Emrakul. And there are certain strategies where that's very good against things like Black-Green Yawgmoth, for example, things that make a board presence that is hard for you to beat and that don't just outright die to Titan, especially decks that can gain infinite life or can combo kill you or have easy ways to kill your Titan. You just breach out an Emrakul and put them back to square zero, and then it's much easier to win from there. So I definitely think that if you're going through the trouble to play through the breach, then you should be including at least one Emrakul and Fierce Empath, or if not, like 4 copies of Emrakul or something like that. Just because, why would you not? That's one of the funnest things to be doing with Through the Breach. And it is not unrealistic for Amulet to just hardcast Emrakul, especially when you can get double Amulet out pretty easily with the addition of Urza Saga. So I definitely think one Emrakul at the very least is the way to go. And yeah. And of course, I guess I should mention the thing I cut for these two was 2 copies of Explore, which are usually there to help the grindier matchups where you need to find things other than Through the Breach to be able to try to win the game. Like they Thoughtseize away your Titan, you cast an Explorer, and it helps you cantrip towards a Pact or a Titan, and helps you that way, and also helps you in sideboard games as well when you need to take out the Breach combo. So anyways, those are the changes that I would suggest making, and if you don't feel like playing the Emrakul, you can just play 2 Explorers. I think the Emrakul would be more fun, though. And if you guys want to see this deck list in action, again, leave it in the comments below. Super fun to me, and always learning, of course. Yeah, I don't have much else to say. Thank you guys for joining me for this league. I don't know when the next one will be, but whenever I can make it, you guys will see it. And this is Red Face Menace, signing off.